Welcome to the Wake Up Podcast. I am so excited that you're here. Listen, these podcasts are best listened to in the morning because we are waking up not only our bodies from sleeping, but we're waking up our minds, we're waking up our focus, we're waking up our calling, and we are following the breadcrumbs that God has left for us throughout the day over our life to tell us exactly what to do next. So stop saying that you don't know what to do. Stop feeling overwhelmed. Stop living in the valley and start walking into your calling. So Alicia and I were talking last night. Well, hold on, let me go back real fast and just say that thank you, April, for saying that, because it really was an answer to my prayer. I have seriously, for the last about a week and a half, been thinking about, should I keep doing these? Are they doing anything? Are people listening? And it's insane that we think this way, because the scientific data, the statistics, the insights, the analytics that I can see show me with my eyes that people are watching, people are listening. I can see how long they listen to a call for. I can see how many people have downloaded it. There's hundreds of people. But in my head, I'm like, are they working? Should I do it? Do people even care what I say? Who do I even think I am? I'm like having this like wake up call. Like I'm this like, welcome to the wake up call. Like I'm just like a nobody. Like I'm getting on Zoom talking to people. Like I really think people care. People want to listen. People want to know. And that is straight out of the devil's mouth.
Yes, it is. Yes, you're a true boss, babe. Inspiration. You may not know it, but you are. You really are. You really are.
Thank you for being obedient and saying that, and for like rearranging your schedule. And because I pray for people, I literally say, connect me to people who need me, who need God, or who I need them. If it's a mutual, like we all need each other, draw us together. And the devil is still in my ear being like, this ain't working. This ain't working. And the numbers show that it does work, but I'm still feeling like I should just cancel and not do these anymore. Like, look how fast when we drop our guard, and this is what I'm realizing the more. So I would love to wake up and read my Bible every day. That is like my goal. Wake up, spend at least an hour reading my Bible. Do I do that? No. Do I want to? Yes. I probably do it realistically 3 times a week, maybe 2. Like I don't even do it that much. And when I wake up and do it, I feel so different. I feel like I did a study like years and years and years and years ago, and I never understood what it meant. And then now that I'm feeling it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I learned about that. And it was about all the things like putting on the armor of God, like the breastplate of salvation and your sword of the spirit is, and like putting on all these things. And I'm like, okay, like what does that even mean? I don't understand it. But when you wake up and you set your focus on what you need it to be, it is so true that you have scriptures memorized. So you can say them when you're feeling anxious. You can like whip out a scripture super fast and say it that like defeats this. You won't have to like you won't have to go grab your scripture cards like I do. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Like, what's a scripture? And I'm going with them like, the Lord is faithful and he will strengthen and protect you from the evil one. Like I would know that because I had memorized it. So you actually do set your intention in the morning on God and where you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to focus on, who you are in Christ, not who the world says you are, especially if you're trying to build something. If you're trying to be made for more and you know, like, God, I will serve you. I will do whatever. I know that I'm created different than others. I know not that you're better than others, but you are created with this driven feeling inside of you, this desire to do more, that you want to impact the world in a big way. You want to really just make a change because you existed. If that's what you know that you're made for and you want to do that, then you absolutely need to be waking up and doing this. We need to be waking up and doing this every day, because this, I can look back and see, I know exactly why the devil got me in my thoughts. And I've been feeling this way for about a week and a half. I even texted my mom yesterday and was telling her how tired I've been. And I'm like, I just feel kind of depressed. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I hate it here. And she goes to Florida every year for the terrible months because she has really bad seasonal depression. Like, she was actually thinking about suicide, and it was literally just the weather here. Like, it's so crazy how it messes with you. If you don't live somewhere where it gets really cold and it gets dark at 4:30, and I mean, it messes with you. It really does. And so she ended up telling me, she's like, you're just uninspired. Because I always say, you know, if you're not tired, you're just uninspired. So she'll use my own words against me. And I'm like, okay, you're right though. She was right. I'm like, okay, I am uninspired. Why am I uninspired? Because I didn't even want to get on the calls. So like, when you guys don't want to get on the calls and you're like hiding from the calls, like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody texts me. Like, I can't get on the call, and we can't do them. Part of it is because we're uninspired, and we don't realize it though, because it's masked with being tired. And when you're tired, the logical sense of your brain is instantly like, why am I tired? Oh, this is what happened. And I'm sure, Alicia, for you, it actually was. I'm not talking about like when things come up and you actually like, you know, like, oh, I was puking all night. I was, you know, my kids are sick. Like, obviously those things. But what we do, and I do them, is like, yeah, I just really don't, I don't think I feel good. Like, yeah, I think I need to just like watch a Netflix show or just relax. Like, you kind of go into this, like, I'm going to heal myself type of feeling, but your logical brain is still trying to make sense of everything. So instead of just being like, okay, I need a timeout with God, and I need to reconnect my spirit because I'm like getting off track. Instead, I don't know why we say it's a million other things instead of just that, because I think if we really started taking God days when we feel bad, like not bar days, I used to take those, like, let's call into work and let's just go day drinking. Like, I've been there. Okay. I've done that. But instead of reaching for shopping or eating or binge watching Netflix or like seeking out drama or getting in people's business, like, instead of doing those things or frying your brain on social media, just scrolling, knowing you want to stop scrolling, but you keep scrolling anyway. And you're like, I really should get off. I really should be done doing this. And you just keep scrolling. Instead of doing that, we need to stop what we're doing and take a God day of like laying in bed, eating your favorite snacks and reading your Bible, watching sermons, listening to Christian music, take a bath, shave, do all the pampering things to yourself. Like, why don't we do that? We really do need that. And so for me, I'm realizing that when I lowered my guard, if you will, of not waking up and spending time with God, two things happened. The first thing that happened was I didn't feel this like whirling tornado, Holy Spirit feeling inside of me anymore. Was God still with me? Yes, 100%. God will never leave me. Even if I like demand him to leave, even if I like throw a hissy fit and tell him like, get out of my life, don't ever come back, don't ever care. Like, he's like, okay, you're just a child and you're overreacting. Like, you know, he's our dad. So like, he can't leave. But what happens is that feeling of like feeling joy, like utter joy. Some days I wake up and just literally cry because I'm so grateful for the life I have. Other days I wake up and I think about the dread of all the things that I have on my to-do list and why I don't want the day to happen. Did the day change? No, the days were pretty much the same. It was a Wednesday to a Wednesday. I do the same things on Wednesday. What changed is what I was doing when I woke up and what I set my intention on. And so I don't have that joy, and I'm more angry with my kids, and I'm more impatient with my kids, and I'm more short fused with John, and I get irritated faster, and I'm more offended easier. People can do things and it like offends me a lot more than when I'm walking on the path with God that morning. The second thing that happened was that I put the guard left and my back was turned, and the devil just like like snuck in really fast, like, this is my chance, and gets in and he's like, you suck. This isn't working. People aren't watching. And it's your own voice. So you don't ever feel like, who said that? Like, it's your own voice talking crap to yourself like you always do. And just like that, you're like off your track, and now you're like ready to quit, and you just like, what am I really going to change the world? Am I really going to make an impact? Like, you can be out in the valley and just step in a hole and literally be like sucked down. Like, next step, you're like, whoosh, you're like back to the bottom. And so you have to recognize the signs. And I've done a lot of stuff on the signs. I just did a podcast recently on this. I feel like I talk a lot about the signs and like the warning signs of like being really tired and all those, any of those emotions that are on that scale, that are lower emotions, like all of those are red flags. Like, when you drop below, it's all red flags. Like, something is triggering you, something is not, you're not doing something. So this is happening. But I want you guys to know how to get out, mostly, because getting out is really easy. The hardest part about it is that you have to recognize that you're down there and make the conscious decision of, oh my gosh, I've been in the valley. Because when you're in the valley, you don't really feel like you're in the valley. But when you finally are like, I think it's like when you hit rock bottom and then you start to come up, the first like dip to come up is realizing like, oh wait, I'm just in the valley. Like, it's that first step. And then you can make other steps to do it. So prayer is huge. Don't discount prayer, please. Prayer is like the number one thing that you need to be doing, is praying for connections. And when I pray for people to come to me who I need, it was just answered through April showing up and saying, hey, by the way, and said this whole thing. And I needed her to say that. God used her to speak to me and to be like, okay, I heard you. I'm going to keep doing these calls. Or when Alicia texted me yesterday and she's like, hey, when can you talk? I want to brainstorm with you. I was like, it was literally the perfect time she could have texted me. I don't like to talk on the phone when John's home because he doesn't like me to be on the phone. And so I just try to like plan my calls if they're going to be long, like during the day when he's gone. And so usually if someone wants to text me at night or talk to me at night, it's never good unless I'm like driving somewhere or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally talk to you. So, and she texted me like right around dinner time, and it just so happened that John was gone, the boys were gone, and the girls were playing salon and stuff together because it was a snow day, painting Skylar's nails, which they didn't get messed up, Alicia, by the way. Skylar like came out and Sophia had painted her nails. They're black on the bottom, her toenails, they're black. And then immediately after she painted them black and they didn't dry, she painted over purple. And then immediately after she painted a coat of sparkles. So they were like so thick and like goopy, and she comes like walking out, and Sophia's like just learning to paint nails too, by the way. So it's not like she's an expert. And so Skylar comes like walking out. I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, this isn't good. I'm like, just don't go on the carpet, because they were bad. They didn't even get messed up though. But Alicia texted me. It was like the perfect timing. I was like, you know what? I can talk to you right now. And I knew too, I didn't have, when she texted me, I wanted to talk to her on the phone. I didn't have this like, I really should talk to her. Or it wasn't like I was like, you know, had to convince, like I was really I was in a state of unmotivation. Even when I called her and she answered, she was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I can tell it was because like my voice and like I sounded like I was sick probably. It was like literally because I haven't done anything in 3 days besides like lay in my bed and like sleep and watch Netflix and not really do much. Like, and so it was the perfect timing. God used you, Alicia, to text me. And I'm like, yes, I need to talk to you. And by talking to you, another person who had this energy, this vibration, and by talking to me, I literally started like vibrating on the exact same wavelength. I was like excited. I was walking around my house. I got off the phone and I felt like I did like 3 things that I had been procrastinating doing for my church. I just like hurried up and finished them. And I just like had this, I was like, oh, I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm excited to get on the call. And then everything has just kind of changed. It went back up. So it's important to recognize if you're really tired, then you're probably in the valley. So the sooner that you can come to terms with you're in the valley and recognize that you're there, then you'll start to go up. The next thing you need to do is get with people that are going to raise your vibration. And that's why we have these morning calls. If you are someone who wants to just continue to listen to the recording because you can't listen live, then absolutely it's going to help for you. I always recommend people to listen to them in the morning though, like on your way to work. It's okay if you're 2 months behind in recordings, like you don't have to listen to them the same day. Although if you do listen to them closely when they're recorded, you'll pick up some things that might help you in that current season. Like right now it's winter. So we've been talking about like stuff like this. So if you're in the summer listening to this about winter depression, then it's probably gonna, not feel as impactful as if you were listening to them around the current season. But if you want to get on live, they're at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time zone. They're recorded for 1 hour-ish. And you can do that just by going to my Instagram, clicking the link in my bio, and there's a link on there to register. You just fill out your information and it sends you an email with the Zoom ID, the time, and whatever. They're completely free. Anybody can get on. And we don't try to do any kind of weird backdoor, like I'm going to build relationships in here for a reason of, whatever. We're welcoming all types of people who want to wake up, set their intention on God, set their intention on what they're meant for, their talents, their gifts. And that includes building a brand, because a lot of people are realizing that if you want to make a big impact, you're going to have to go into a bigger pool. Like even if you're just in your school, you can make a really big impact in your community, but do you want to make an impact larger than that? And if you want it to be larger than your community and you have a passion for this greater sense of whatever it is, and you're like passionate about expanding this, social media is the best way to do it. You can reach so many people and so many people are addicted to it and they're not going to be getting off of it anytime soon. There's like 2 billion people or something on Instagram now. That's insane. You would never be able to reach that many people. So the greatest thing about social media too is that it's not just, oh, your net is, you're in a sea with 2 billion people. You have the power because of technology to get super specific and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. It's almost like those futuristic videos, movies that came out that you could like create your own baby. And you're like, I want it to have brown eyes, curly hair. You can say whatever, like you could be super, I want them to be funny, outgoing, extroverted, like kind-hearted. And then it's like, oh, bing, like, here's your baby. You can do that with your business. Yes, Alicia.
Oh, I just wanted to say, before you went on to another subject really quickly. Yeah. On Monday, I didn't get on. And why didn't I get on Monday? I think I was really tired. I had like another bad night. But anyway, I didn't get on Monday. And I don't usually listen to the recordings. Well, I'm usually on. So hence why I don't usually listen to them. But the few times that I haven't been on, and I don't usually listen to the recordings. And for some reason on Tuesday, I listened to the recording from Monday. It's like I don't think I've ever listened to the recording, honestly, like ever. And there were like tons of little snippets in there that were super helpful to me during that day. And I was like thinking to myself, and I've thought about it in the moment, but you saying that right now just like brought it up again. like there was a reason why I was pulled to listen to it, to actually turn it on, because it's not something that like I would normally do. So, you know, paying attention to the breadcrumbs, and like me messaging you yesterday, like we had been talking about chatting like all week. And it was like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And then like, I didn't reach out, you didn't reach out. And then I don't know why, like randomly yesterday, I don't know what made me text you. I don't even know.
And it was God, and it's because you are in alignment, like what we talked about yesterday. Like Alicia said something so amazing yesterday. She was like, it's like this business plan just keeps like popping up, like the next step. It just keeps unfolding in front of me. Like I'm not even doing anything. Like it's just coming on its own. And it's because she's been so obedient and has done hard things to walk on your destined path. I mean, everything that you've done with your job recently, that's huge. You were out of alignment. You were focused and you were connected in areas that God didn't want you to be anymore. And he told you, quit your job, quit your job, quit your job, quit your job, and was saying it for months and months and years. And then you finally are like, I think I'm going to quit my job. Like, and it's like, if you would have journaled all of those times to go back, like I wish you would have been able to see. And I pray that when we get to heaven, we get to like turn back this book and watch our lives and be able to like go back and like, show me, like, you know, show me when I first said I wanted to write a book, like, and then seeing it like in my head. I just think that would be so cool because we can really go back and see even without, and I think that this is like my favorite thing about God is even without being perfect, even while I still sin, meaning I do things I know I shouldn't be doing. I know God is telling me, don't do these, don't do this, don't do this. And I'm still doing it. And although I'm not reading my Bible every day, and although I'm not doing, I can tell you a million things that I'm not doing that I should be, God is still showing up and answering me, even when I didn't sit down and pray for it specifically, like writing it down and sitting down and like meditating over this certain prayer. I just like thought it, and God's like out there carrying it out for me. Like he helped you to quit your job. Like he knew you were miserable and answered this and then walked down this path, and now you quit. And then now he's like, good, now I can like send her off where I need her to go and in the direction I need her to go in. And you're there. So you answered the calling. Now God can use you because you're not distracted and you're listening. So you're like, oh, okay, I'll text Taryn and see if she wants to talk. Like that feeling came in you. If you were drowning yourself in work and in stress and in worry and overwhelm, you wouldn't have heard God say that. You wouldn't have felt it. You wouldn't have had time to do it. You would have been like, I can't. Like when someone pops into your head, I'm sure this has happened to all of us, like to think about so-and-so and you're like, oh, I should call her or text her, but you don't. It's like, God was like, dang it, I thought for sure she was going to respond. All right, I'll have to use so-and-so. Like, there you go. I can't use her because she's not there. So one side of our mouth, and the Bible says this, that we talk out of both sides of our mouth. One side of our mouth, we're like, God, please use me. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I am yours, and just help me and guide me. And then the other side, you're like, I'm so overwhelmed and I'm just so worried and I'm stressed out and I really want this new house and I really want this boat and I really want this promotion and you're all, and God's like, okay, you're like asking for help, but then you're blocking everything that I'm sending to you. And so when you can walk into your calling, that's really what that means. Like answer the call to God, walk in your calling. You're walking and you can receive things because you're walking with God. You don't have any of the other negative emotions or traumas or identities that anyone else has placed on you. You are a child of God. You know it. You believe it. You're like, this is me. This is who I am. This is who I'm created to be. When you can walk in that, it helps you to believe so much. It's really all it is. Like reading, as I'm reading through the Bible and listening to the different stories about the different people, I'm seeing things. I'm like, what if this person didn't believe this? Like the things I thought that the things that God told me were crazy. I'm like, this is like so crazy. I was like having an anxiety attack, and God said, like, you're chosen, just share your story with others. I'm like, that is insane. Okay, but the things that other people were told in the Bible, I'm like, I cannot believe that they thought that that was going to work. I can't believe that they didn't think that they were crazy. Like Noah being told to build a boat, and it hadn't rained in 40 years. And he's like, I need to build this huge boat. You know how crazy Noah probably looked? People were like, did you hear about Noah?
But
yeah,
that's
I saw
like,
that big boat.
that's like what I was telling you yesterday about like my vision for what I just like this vision that I just keep having. It's like, it's not even like what I want to do. It's not like, oh, I've like my whole life, I've always wanted to have this little like place where people could come, this little boutique, and you know, like, but it just keeps like popping up, and I keep having these visions for it. And that was what I said to you yesterday. I'm like, I know it sounds kind of crazy, like, and to me it does, like, it just seems like so far off, like, but the vision keeps coming, like it just keeps showing itself to me in like this is where you're going, this is the road, like you're gonna take all these steps to get there, you're not there yet, but
and you don't know the steps,
keep going,
like
keep doing the
this
thing.
is the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can just surrender to knowing that God knows the steps and he's going to equip you with the steps, he doesn't want you to do it in your own strength. He wants you to not be able to do it anymore, and that's when he's like, I got you, we'll do this. So when you're like, my eyes are closed, I'm just holding on to your shoulders and we're just walking through this journey together, like that, when you can surrender all of that. I know exactly what you mean, Alicia, because I can see so clearly this workspace that I'm in. And all I know is that I'm like the owner or the CEO or the something, the head of something. And I can see what our desks look like open concept, natural wood, black windows. We're like 2 stories up. We're in a city, like something that looks like New York. I don't even want to live in New York, but I'm working there. And like the chairs are white and there's dark green plants everywhere. And like, I can picture the door and the address sign, the front desk, like I can picture it all. And we're all creating something, and I love it. And it is like the best feeling. And we're like getting lunch together and we're like brainstorming and we're creating. And I just know that that's going to exist. And it is like insane to have this feeling and being like, I don't want to live in New York. I don't even want to work. So I don't know where I'm going every day, because I don't even want to go anywhere. I want to just stay at home. So that doesn't go with my plans. But the feeling I have when I think about it is how I know that I'm supposed to do it. Like this like whirling, like, oh my God, okay, like this is what we're going to do. And like, how cool if you're a visionary, because some people are and some people aren't. If you're not, that's okay. Connect with someone who is, and they can speak visions into your life. And to say, I am not kidding. When I started going to conventions for network marketing, and I was around all of these like high vibration people, there is like something that happens in the spiritual realm when you're with people like that. And I've been watching this show called I Survived Death.
It's just Surviving Death.
Surviving Death. It's
I turned it on yesterday.
Okay, you did. Okay, I feel like, okay, like biblically, like whatever. I'm not condoning the show and saying I believe in every single thing that they have. I'm watching it because I am very interested in other cultures, other beliefs. Like I like knowing the science. I like knowing like what other people believe. So don't like send me an email like people have been doing about Michael Todd, telling me, did you see all the negative stuff about him? I'm like, okay, I'm not easily offended, and I'm not really religious. So people with their religions are.
But I watched like, I didn't even watch a full episode. I just started watching it. And just one thing that you said to me yesterday about it which is like, you said, like everybody, as you've been watching it, like everybody has pretty much the same story. If you, did you watch that? I think it's Disney. So it might be, I don't know. It's a cartoon. That movie Soul. Did you watch that one? You watched it, Erin?
No.
No?
Erin
Okay,
did.
so you should watch it, Taryn. It's so good. But it's literally like the same thing. And like what you were saying is how like everybody had the same story. Like it doesn't just happen that people have all this like same sort of experience, and then their experience in the experience is all the same, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something to it. There's definitely something to it. Go watch Soul though if you haven't seen it. It's really good. You can watch it with the kids because it's a cartoon. I think is it Disney, Erin?
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're gonna watch it.
It's really, really good. It like will make you cry.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but because another movie that's kind of like that is it's a Disney movie too or something. It's called like Inside
Out.
Inside Out.
Yes.
So where I'm like, this
Yeah.
is so true. This is so real. Like, but with listening to Surviving Death and what they talk about made me realize that I'm like, oh, I've felt this. I know exactly what they're talking about. They say that in order to like connect spirit to the spirit worlds, which is just like connecting spiritually, like Holy Spirit, you know, anything, you have to raise your vibration. And so they put all these people in a room and they have them sing and laugh and like have fun and listen to this music, and it just raises that vibration. And I have experienced that at conventions when I'm with all of these people that are just exploding with excitement and passion and calling and like, it's such an incredible feeling. And I have actually shook people's hands or hugged them and like literally saw things for them. Like, it's the craziest thing to think of. And I'm like, I don't believe it's true. I don't think like, oh my, you're about to win the lottery. Like, you know, nothing like that. But like, I have hugged people before. And I have like seen them on stage speaking or something where I'm like, oh, like, and then I don't tell them because that's weird. Like, you know, I don't even feel like it's true. Like they're going to actually be doing it. It's almost just like greatness. Like when I see, like, I've seen people where I'm like, you're different. You're different. I know you are. I can feel it. I can see it. Like you're created to do more. Like I can see that. So if someone is a visionary and you're not, you just need to get around more people that are, because they can just speak life over you. They can see they can not like see your future, but they can see the gifts in you. They can see the talents in you. They can see like, this is something that's different about you that's going to take you far. You just have to be, I'm realizing, humble enough. And I guess humble is the right word, but to ask someone to like, what do you see in me? What am I? Like, you just need to be able to go and ask somebody to speak life over you, because I have wanted people to speak life over me. And when I went to my grandpa's funeral a couple weeks ago, I ran into my old pastor from like my church when I started going to church when I was 11. So it's like where I went from like 11 to probably like 20, because my boys were born and they were at that church too. So probably like that. And I haven't seen him in so long. And his wife was I think she was on one of my network marketing teams through like other people and stuff. But so she's kind of followed me and kind of updated him along the way. And so when he came up to me, he was like, oh my gosh, the world's, what did he say? The world's something life coach. And I was like, well, I wouldn't say that. Like, I don't know. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. Like, he's gonna like speak this like thing over me. Like, tell me that like he sees this greatness in me or something. I was like waiting like a little kid, like in anticipation. And he never said anything. He never was like, keep doing it, or good job, or like, I know how you feel, or like didn't really say anything. And I was like, what? Like, I was like I don't know why I always look for human validation in what God has already told me, but we all tend to do this.
I mean, I did it yesterday with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was like, tell me, and you're like, you already know.
Yeah, like, no, I don't need to tell you. It's not about what I want. It's about what you want. And that's what's so great about coaching. So if you don't have this encourager, this person to just spew into your life, come on to the wake up calls, get connected. There's a lot of us on here. Get connected with our group. We also have a Telegram chat that we send you the link of, so you can at least be in like the Telegram chat to do that. But you also need people to pour into you, but you need people to be able to like coach you too and to tell you. That's why the calls are great to get on live, because you can unmute and talk and say things that you want to talk about, because you like a coach isn't giving you the answers. They're just like coaching you to find the answers yourself. And that's really what it is. And it's great to be on the other side, because I can say like, oh yeah, you've been talking about that for a long time. You talked about that last year. You've been saying this. Or one of the greatest things with brands, and this is what Alicia and I were talking about yesterday. Well, Alicia, do you want to share with them? I want to tell them how really like nothing changed, but like the way that you viewed it. And so you felt like your brand was kind of changing. So tell us what your brand was, and then like what you've been thinking lately in your head about like switching and transitioning it.
So historically, I've been in the health, wellness, fitness arena. And my brand, what I've been building my brand to, has been geared more towards like fitness and nutrition. And then over the last year, when I was like officially diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I started branching out, and which still falls in the same line of wellness. But I started branching out, talking more about that, about hyperthyroidism and thyroid disease and all of that. And then just most recently, I've had this like calling to start an apparel business, which is completely different. And in my mind, it was when I started researching this and like moving towards it, in my mind, it was completely different. It was not anything in line with what I had been doing. And I had all these thoughts about how it was going to go. And I started making moves and doing things towards it, and then realized that some of the thoughts that I originally had were not exactly what I wanted to do. They were not that I didn't want to do it, but it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, because I kept getting a calling and a tugging to gear what I'm doing around what I had been previously doing. So originally my thought was, I want to make t-shirts and sweatshirts and do graphic designs on them and bleach them and dye them, do tie-dye and all, and just sell them to everybody. And then my mind started narrowing it down more to, okay, I don't want to sell to everybody. I don't want this to be a product for everybody. And I don't want to just make t-shirts and sweatshirts. And I want them to be very specific. And I want them to be inspirational. And I want people to have a feeling when they buy them and when they wear them and when they see them. And I want it to be surrounded around what I had been previously doing, which is in wellness. And then now thinking about incorporating sports bras and leggings, so like activewear with it as well, so that it kind of falls in line with what I had been doing with fitness. And so it's kind of morphed. Like it originally, I thought it was just going to be this completely different thing than what I had been previously doing. And I'm like, I'm going to have to change my whole brand. I'm going to have to do something completely different. Do I quit doing what I was doing before? Do I just let that brand go, even though I've been building it for the last like 5 years? And now I realize, no, I don't have to. Like, I can start this, I can branch it. I can branch it from what I have been doing and still reach the people that I resonate with or that resonate with me. So my followers will essentially see what I'm doing. And although it's different than, coaching, being a wellness coach, even though it's different than that, it still falls in line with what I'm doing, what I had previously been doing. And I think that people will still resonate with it. I think that they will see this clothing and be like, I want that. Like, oh, that's so cute. Or because people are fitness focused, that it's something that they can use daily or wear daily. And so,
well, I think that, and this is exactly why, it's exactly why having a circle of people who are doing similar things is important, and to have someone who can like speak to the experience is because what we feel like, oh, is this right? Am I changing again? Oh my God, like I'm gonna redo all this. Like, is this even what I want to do? Like, kind of feeling down about it and like confused and whatever. Instead, it's like, no, this is normal. This is really like, this is a good sign. This is showing that your brand is progressing. This is what every single person does, because it starts with who's your person. Like, that's what we go all the way back to. And in order to create your ideal person that you're talking to, it goes back to, who am I? Who has the world told me I was, and who does God tell me I am? And what do I want to do? What have I gone through that I'm passionate about, that I would like to help someone else go through or avoid going through, or teaching someone, or, all of these things. It's like figuring out who this person is that you're called to be here for. And when you have your little avatar of your person of like, this is what they want, this is who they are, these are their pains of their day, these are the glories of their day, building this person, this ideal person that you want to impact and you want to help. And then taking this person and being like, okay, what do they need? What do they need? So it's not like, okay, what am I going to sell? Or what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to be a coach. A coach is just one thing that this group of people need. They need a lot more than just a coach. They need daily inspiration. You might realize that they need morning wake up texts, that they need a cookbook, that they need a food diary, that they need positive affirmations around body image cards, that they like all of these things that they need, that now you have a brand and you're all of this. McDonald's is looking for people who want food fast. They want it cheap. They want it bad for you. And they don't care if it's bad for you. And this is what they want. So they don't just sell French fries. They're like, no, they'll also buy shakes. They'll buy apple pies. They'll buy, and then they have all these other things around it. And so really that's an awesome thing. And every single thing you work on will come back full circle. So you might start like, oh, I think I'm going to be a coach. And you might start, this is exactly what I did. I was like, I guess I'll just be coaching because I don't really know what else to do besides coach people one-on-one. So then I was like, okay, I'll build that. So I like built this whole coaching program, got an application, put it up on my link, started telling people about it. And then by talking to people, I realized I need some sort of course that people can go in to learn branding, because people are coming to me and I don't have 8 hours to teach them how to do what I did. And that was the number one thing people were coming to me for, is how did you build a brand? And so I'm like, okay, let me put a course together. So then I had a course. And then after I got that up and running and going, and then I was like, just realizing that I'm like, people really need a journal. They really need a journal, and they need a journal with prompts in the way that I journal. I think this would really help people. So now I want to create a journal. And then I'm like, they need a book. I like, just by doing, you'll see the next thing that your group of people need, or just the way that you're doing it. And so you might like, I left the coaching stuff at the top. Like, I haven't really touched it. I don't coach anyone one-on-one right now. And it's just kind of there. I took it off my website, like off my links and stuff, because I don't want to do one-on-one coaching as of right now. But doesn't mean that all the hard work I did to do that is gone. I probably will come back to this because at some point, as this whole thing gets bigger, I know, and there have been people who've asked me and I had to tell them I'm not doing one-on-one coaching right now. I know that when I'm ready and my business is ready and I'm ready, that I will start offering one-on-one coaching again for people that really want to change their lives and will do anything it takes to feel better. Like what my coach did for me, she was that place. I think without Melissa being there, it would have taken so much longer, and I know it would have. And what's amazing is that the first second that I talked to her on Zoom, I knew that she was my person, and I told her that, and I asked her if she was a believer, and she was like, a believer in what? And I was like, in Jesus Christ. Are you a Christian? And she's like, well, no, but I believe in the spiritual realm, and I believe in, like, there's a higher power, God. I don't really know if it's Jesus is the savior, but I believe in that. And when she said that, I instantly knew that God placed me in her life and that he needed her to come to me. Like, I knew that the connection, I even told her that. I said, I know for a fact we're supposed to be connected. And she charged me $2,000 a month, and I did not have $2,000 a month. And I said, yes. I was like, I will figure this out, because I just knew that that's what I needed to do. And it was exactly what I needed. And so I know that at one point I will be able to offer that to other people, but right now it's not my time. So it's not that I just wasted all this time with this program. It's just part of it. And as you go through with your own mind, totally trust yourself. If you're like, why am I not redoing my course? Like, why? Or for me, like, honestly, I'm like, why am I not writing my book? Why am I not writing my book? And I just keep asking myself, like, why am I not freaking writing my book? I need to realize there's a reason why I'm not ready to. I'm not, something hasn't happened yet. Something hasn't come together. I'm not in the right frame of mind. You know, God has this book like ordained. I've had people pray for me for this book, pray for me for clarity and for motivation. Like, anybody who messages me back on Instagram and says like, oh yeah, because I say like in a message, if you need prayer for anything, let me know. And so they're like, oh, same for you. I'm like, yeah, actually I do. Like, can you pray for me for my book? And like, but realizing, instead of having this like negative resistance to it and this annoyance of myself of why am I not doing this? I need to realize that I'm not supposed to be doing it. And I need to realize that it will come in due time. I need to be focusing on what inspires me right now. What's exciting to me right now? Where do I want to be right now? And God's not going to call you to create anything. I feel like I just like, this is like coming out of me. Like, you are not creating anything because you're not in the right frame of mind to do it. And you need to be at 100% belief in yourself and 100% belief in who God, not yourself of you completing it, but you being who you are, your identity. Like 100%, I know this and I know my calling and I'm listening to God and I'm in alignment. Once you're there, you're in the right frame of mind to make decisions. You wouldn't ask a drunk person to help you study for a test. You'd be like, no. Or you wouldn't, like, if your husband came home wasted, you wouldn't be like, we need to have a serious conversation about the finances. Like, you'd be like, we'll talk in the morning. Like, I'm not talking to you right now. It's the same thing. God's like, I'm not making business plans with you. You're in the wrong frame of mind. So when you stop doing all your worldly crap and come back to me, wake up in the morning, set your focus, listen to my word, then I'll give you the next steps. Then we'll start creating. Then we'll start writing together. He is your business partner, like right there next to you, helping you make these decisions. So the number one most important thing that you need to do is to recenter back with God. So if you need to take a whole God day, if you need to just be like, okay, tomorrow morning, I'm waking up early, or today when I drive home from work, I'm going to listen to a sermon, or I'm going to not listen to anything at all. And I'm going to pray the entire way, like the whole way. The longest I've ever prayed to God out loud continuously while I was driving in my car was 30 minutes. And once I like got into it, I was like, I feel like I could have just like kept spilling it. And then I was there and I'm like, all right. So I challenge you to do that. Like, really do that. Talk out loud, talk about your plans, talk about what's holding you back, ask for help. get connected to people. Don't let the devil isolate you. If you're in the valley and you know it, the first thing you need to do is pray and get back with your people. Like, just like that, your energies will link up and you'll get out of it that quick. It's not that hard. Like, I was in it yesterday and now I'm like, oh, I'm out. Like, so quick. So also remember, if you have a lot of energy leaks, things that you've been putting off, just make your list and just do them. I posted something on my stories the other day that was like, Anne Hathaway is smiling really big. And it said like, oh my gosh, what did it say? Like, me wanting praise for doing these tasks I put off for 3 months that took me 4 minutes. And I was like, this is totally me. I like said that
I
to
feel like that's me too.
Totally. Yeah. I was like, when I did a bunch of stuff the other day, I was like, I think I deserve some credit for all the things I did today. And he
You're
didn't
like,
say
go
anything.
me.
Yeah. I like had the TV muted and I said that, and then he didn't say anything. And then he was like, okay, what are they? And I was like, well, I called the accountant. I called the health insurance. I like told all the things. Literally did take like 2 minutes. And like, I was like, go me, look at me. So good. Yeah. Oh, it was funny.
You know what's funny about that? Now that I'm thinking about it. So when I was up for 2 hours last night, when I went to bed and couldn't go to sleep, I literally, like, during that time, within all of my thoughts, I was praying, and I was like, part of it, because I was thinking a lot about like this business and what I'm doing, and part of my thought process was that I was like asking God, like, give me some guidance, like, tell me which direction that I need to go in, tell me, like, give me a sign, like, give me guidance, like, help me figure out, like, am I sticking with my brand? Am I going in a different direction? What should my business name be? Like, help me decide, like all of these things. And when I woke up, and amongst that, I was thinking about other stuff too, but what was it? Not yesterday, but the day before, we had a friend over, and Mike started telling him about this. He's like, oh, did Alicia tell you about her new venture? And so it's like, started talking about it. Like, I get all like humble when somebody wants to, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. Like, it's just this little thing,
It's not. I mean, really, it's not.
I mean, like, I'm not really doing anything. But so I started doing that, and then I was just kind of like beating around the bush. I'm like, yeah, I don't really know like what the name of it's going to be yet. And Mike was like, OGG Designs. And I was like, wait, why did you say that? Like, I have not said that to him.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I haven't talked to him about the name at all. And I'm like, why did you say that? And he was like, it's just a good name. And I was like,
you're like, yeah.
Like, yeah, I've only been like writing it down and thinking about it for like weeks now, but I've not mentioned it to him one time. And so in my like thoughts about it last night, because yesterday after you and I talked, I went through and like also sat with myself and like really I started writing some things down and like was really thinking about it. And I wrote a bunch of words. Like, I just sat there and like to think about like what am I feeling? Like, I was just waiting for something to come out of me. And I wrote all these words down. And then last night when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about the dynamic of how like the actual business like structure of it, like, cause I have an LLC of Alicia Og Wellness, and like, I could do a DBA, like thinking about all these things. And I'm like, and then I thought about how Mike said that. And I'm like, okay, so what if I called it OGG Designs Co. and make it a partnership? Because like financially, that probably would be a good idea. Because my tax person has been telling me that I need to create a partnership, and I haven't done it. And so I was like, okay. And then I started like in my mind, started thinking about the logo and how it would look, and like started having visions about that. So,
oh, I love that. That is like my favorite state of mind to be in. It
not
is
at like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not like the funnest.
Yeah, I've gotten some of like my best stuff like that, but now I know like I will write it down because it doesn't matter how much I think I will remember. I'm like, that's fine if you remember, but we're also going to write it down.
Yeah.
Like my responsible part of my brain doesn't let me be irresponsible like that anymore. It's like, no, you said this last time. We're not doing that.
Right.
And I just have a section in my notes that says ideas to think of later is literally the folder. And I just click on that and I just type in like anything that comes to my mind, like while I'm driving, while I'm on the phone, like anywhere where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't forget about this. Like I'll have ideas of like podcast titles, of logo stuff, book names, like all kinds of stuff. Bios, I'll just like rethink of my bio or a new highlight I want to add or a quote. Like I'm always thinking stuff like that. So yeah, writing that down is like huge because you will totally use that later, like for sure. So that's good though. I mean, it sucks that you lost sleep, but it's good that you had more clarity.
Okay.
Maybe
the other thing I thought about too, I
awake.
was like, even though I'm tired, like I could just take a nap later, like Taryn says to.
You can. You did all
I
that
can
work.
because I'm at home and I'm not like
Yeah.
at an office where I can't just like sleep if I want.
Yeah. And if you were working when you were supposed to be sleeping, now you can be sleeping when you're supposed to be working.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody says, for whoever needs to hear this, if you have a job, obviously like Aaron right now, like you can't do this. But
Aaron, you can't take a nap.
but like if you work for yourself, like let go of the guilt and shame of feeling like you need to be working and being like productive during working hours.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it whenever you want. If you want to binge watch Netflix all day and you can do that and then work at night, do that. Like you can work for 2 hours, take a break, 2 hours, take two break. Like it doesn't matter. You're the boss. Let go of that. It's not that you're successful if you work 9 to 5.
Right.
That's that we've been brainwashed to think you have to work hard, get a 9 to 5 and you'll be successful. Like that's like engraved in us. My Fridays are half days.
Oh no.
Wow. Wait, where did the chat just go?
Yeah, it's taken me quite a bit of time to get my brain to not think that way. Like the guilt that I would feel, and I'm like finally there.
Yeah.
Like I'm finally like, okay, like yesterday I went to Costco for like an hour and a half, like in the middle of the, like at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was fine. And I came home and I worked some more and I worked until like 5. And like, sometimes I get back on and I'm like doing stuff at like 7 or whatever, but it like I've been in this job since October and it's taken me like up until very, very recently to get past that whole like guilt about not being super productive, not sitting here in front of my computer for 8 hours from 9 to 5, you know, like just doing my work at that time.
Right. Thank you for listening and spending your morning with me. I pray that God blesses your day and that he helps you to see the calling that is on your life. Lord, help us to be obedient to what you've called us to do. Help us to walk in our day side by side with you and link with your power instead of trying to do it on our own. We know we cannot do this on our own, although we try. Please continue to help us and continue to lead us and guide us. We love you so much. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Have a blessed day. Thanks for being here. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Taryn Sarconi so that you can grow with me and you can learn how to get out of the valley, how to stay out of the valley, and exactly what to do to have the best life ever in 2022.